the Church of Jesus Christ.
For Christians, it's very simple. We believe that all human beings were created in God's image.
God created us separately, and we are sacred.
We are much more than just material, flesh, bone, blood, what have you. There is a component to man that is different.
The Bible tells us that we are created in the image of God. Therefore, human life is sacred. But today's culture has a total disregard for the value of human life. We have seemingly become a culture of death.
Best estimates we have is that there have been about 63 million babies that have been aborted here in the United States. That is the entire population of the state of California, every man, woman, and child, which is about 40 million, plus every man, woman, and child in the state of Florida, which is more than 20 million. As far as since Dobbs and since the reversal of Roe versus Wade, actually the best numbers we have show it went up, the number of abortions per year. It went up 0.4%.
How has our society gotten to a point where the value of human life is so low?
The transcendent moral and ethical question of our time is who and what is a human being? It impacts every issue. It impacts the abortion issue. It impacts the birth control issue. It impacts euthanasia. It impacts genetic manipulation. It impacts all of them. And you have to answer the question, who and what is a human being? Is a human being merely the most highly evolved animal on the evolutionary scale? Or are human beings the special creation of God?
I'll simply go back to where Francis Schaeffer, made the point so clearly right after Roe v. Wade when he said, if we don't know who a human being is, then who actually deserves standing to have rights? If you can deny the right of the unborn, you can deny the right to life of the aged, the infirm. And of course, the 20th century showed that even worse can happen with millions of deaths. And so, there is no more basic question than who is a human being.
In the battle for the unborn, there has been an ongoing debate. Does life begin at conception?
One of the things that's amazing is that from the moment of conception, even when there's just one cell from the mom, one cell from the dad, from that moment of conception, that baby is genetically unique from the mom, genetically unique from the dad, genetically unique from the other 7 billion people on the planet.
Pro-life advocate Dr. William Lyle is board certified in obstetrics and gynecology and has delivered over 4,000 babies in his 25-year career.
The emphasis of our ministry is to show how we treat the preborn as patients. Patients' rights is a huge issue, and so we're going to be talking about how we treat the preborn as patients and that they have rights. I got involved in this because at the end of my residency training in 1999, the practice that I took over was actually the largest provider of abortions in the Pensacola area. It was an abortion clinic that had been there for decades, and we purchased the practice and we had the physician sign a non-compete, a restrictive covenant where after we purchased it, he couldn't practice any form of medicine in the Tri-County area for 2 years. So we shut down all the abortions and all the abortion referrals on day one, and to this day, from Tallahassee all the way to Pensacola, there's not a single abortion provider.
Dr. Lyle focuses on explaining the science of conception, proving that it is in fact when life begins.
Let's talk about the miracle of conception. Conception is an amazing thing, and we're learning more about this all the time. You have one cell from the mom, one cell from the dad, and then all of a sudden you have that moment of conception with those 2 cells. At that moment, there is a depolarization of zinc ions and potassium ions. The whole cell membrane gets a shell that goes around it. And if you look with the right frequency of light at that moment of conception, you can actually see a flash of light occurring. And this has been documented through science in mammalian cells. So when somebody says, well, we really don't know when life begins. I mean, what more do you need than a flash of light saying, ba-bing, that's when life begins. We've had a flash of light.
Proponents of abortion often claim that this is simply a women's health issue, often using the phrase, "my body, my choice." But what about the baby inside the womb?
When a woman says, "my body, my choice," it's like, that's not your body. First of all, baby's not, half the time it's going to be a little boy. Where the mom, every cell in her body is XX chromosomes, every cell in the baby's body is XY if it's a boy. So how can that be part of her body? Mom has 60 trillion cells in her body, but even at just 10 weeks along in a pregnancy, there's 1 billion cells, and if it's a boy, every one of those cells is XY chromosomes. So when she says, "it's my body, it's my choice," her body is an amazing life support system for that baby, but that baby is different. In fact, the baby can even have a different blood type from the mother. I mean, mom might have one blood type, and the mom's blood type and the baby's blood, they don't mix together.
Experts note that there has been a huge increase in the number of chemical abortions lately, despite the inherent danger to the mothers.
Chemical abortions are increasing in popularity for reasons that benefit the abortion industry but do not benefit women, because this is a very traumatic process for women. Average will bleed for 2 to 4 weeks. 40% describe the pain as severe.
It's at-home abortion alone abortions, which is particularly disturbing because oftentimes there's a fair amount of pain, significant amount of pain that's connected with so-called medication abortion. It's basically chemical warfare against the unborn is what it amounts to.
The good quality data tells us that this fails in about 1 in 20 women. About 1 in 20 women are injured. We also know that compared to a surgical abortion, a woman is 4 times as likely to have a complication with the chemical abortion pills. So the science and the statistics are actually on our side.
However, the effects of the abortion pill can be reversed, and the baby can be saved.
I have attempted, at the request of the patient, 19 times I've attempted to reverse the effect of the abortion pill. 15 out of those 19 times we have been successful, and I have delivered those babies. Amazing. You know, reversing the effect of the abortion pill is no different than giving a person who made a wrong decision and they overdosed on narcotic. We fix them and we cure them by giving them a medication called Narcan. And we have now documented over 4,500 successful reversals of the abortion pill. 98% of the time when a woman takes the abortion pill combination, that baby will die. And we have documented 4,500 times where we have successfully reversed it.
But in Colorado, a law was passed banning abortion pill reversals.
Well, they had a bill, it was passed by the House and then by the Senate and then signed into law by the governor in Colorado, where if a physician, at the request of the patient, reverses the effect of the abortion pill, that physician can be fined $20,000 and even lose their license to practice medicine.
A federal judge temporarily blocked the Colorado ban, noting that this law targeted religious clinics in particular, citing that the state generally cannot regulate an activity if that regulation burdens religious exercise.
In fact, even in that same law, it says that if a physician uses the same medication, progesterone, to prevent a woman's preterm labor, that's okay. Even if a physician uses the exact same progesterone to support in vitro fertilization, that's okay. Even if that physician uses progesterone to prevent preterm labor in somebody who has triplets or quadruplets, that is okay and that is safe. The medication, the progesterone, we use in normal obstetrics all the time for all these reasons. There is no evidence that progesterone causes any kind of birth defects or is teratogenic in any way to the baby.
Even in a post-Roe society, the battle for life is still being waged.
I would caution women to think about the sacredness of what human life is. And maybe if you don't want to have a baby, then take appropriate precautions. Don't just decide that a living human being is yours to kill at will. because all you have to do is look at the number of women who have deep psychological problems and depression and suicide, etc., because they went down that road. And that tells you that's not a desirable way to go.